Hello my friends who are listening to Ebird Online, and I hope you're all well. Guys, I have but one question for you. Why is it that I prefer Big Ed this season to Bilal? Here's where I'm beginning.
I do think, kind of putting the cart before the horse maybe a little bit, because there hasn't been any issues, thank God. And, just some of the things she's told me about her and her family, like pretty fertile, needless to say. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that will continue to be that same way.
What? So it's now Bilal's contention that this is all pointless, this whole exploratory into Shaeeda's fertility is a little bit previous. Bilal, the people want to know, where is it you got your medical degree from again? Is it the same place you got your biochemistry degree, your associate's degree, the one that you dropped out of after 1 year? Bilal, are you seriously suggesting that because some of Shaeeda's family are extremely fertile, she too will be fertile at the age of 37? Is that your assertion? He really is trying to thwart all Shaeeda's plans to have a baby. But this week, unfortunately for Shaeeda, she gets extremely bad news. But of course, what's really interesting is how Bilal processes and responds to this news. But before I do, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you to everyone that's subscribed thus far, and also thank you so much for all of your comments. I asked the question last week, do we think that Bilal's had a vasectomy? And the results came back inconclusive. But I definitely enjoyed mulling over all of your points of view. Normally very few people are as harsh as me, but Bilal seems to bring out the very worst in people. He really does. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to smash that like button. It really does help to improve my analytics. Thanks guys. And so without further ado, I give you Bilal and Shaeeda. So I'm going to begin with Shaeeda's bad news. Now Shaeeda was actually called in to see her fertility doctor. And obviously she was super nervous, and she actually said herself, I'm a little bit worried that I'm actually being called in as opposed to doing this virtually. And I thought the same thing. Getting called in by the doctor is very rarely good news. And so the couple went for a meeting, and Shaeeda's worst fears were realised when the doctor told her that she has a very low egg count, and if she wants to get pregnant, she should start right away, or within the next 6 months, and not leave it for the 2 years that Bilal's looking for. Of course, Shaeeda was absolutely devastated, and when she came out of the doctor's office, she more or less said, well, there's no time to waste. But of course, Bilal begs to differ, and here's what he had to say.
It's always hard to, see someone you love, kind of get emotional. At the same time, there's a lot that goes into having children. Anybody who has a child knows that. So it's not a matter of like, oh, let's just get at it,
Yes, even though he now knows that Shaeeda and he may have problems conceiving, he's still angling to wait. And what I really didn't like about this was the fact that he said, anyone that has kids knows there's a lot that goes into having children. And guys, he always tries to pull this superior knowledge about having kids. And it's an argument Shaeeda can't win because, of course, she hasn't ever had kids. But she's been around nieces and nephews, so of course she has some idea what goes into having a kid. Bilal loves to say, I've had kids, so therefore I'm the only one who knows. Shaeeda simply doesn't have any idea. That's as may be. But if things are left to Bilal, she'll never ever know what it's like to have kids. And that, of course, is his desired outcome. But Shaeeda really needs to look at all the signs. Even just the attitude that Bilal displayed today should quite clearly tell her that her fertility is only a concern to her and not at all to Bilal. So, for example, in the car on the way to the doctor's, the sun was shining and Bilal said to Shaeeda, are you really sure you want to go to the doctor's appointment? And Shaeeda was scrolling through her phone, and she rolled her eyes, thus discovering there wasn't quite enough bloody sky for her to roll her eyes at. And so Shaeeda just completely ignored him. But Shaeeda, why aren't you taking him to task? Why aren't you saying, why wouldn't I want to go? Why wouldn't I want to find out my levels of fertility? And also, why don't you want to know? But guys, she never asks these questions. She just sat there on the phone, with that look on her face, her resting bitch face, whilst Bilal drove along with his special needs face. And then again, as they walked into the doctor's office, Bilal said hello to the receptionist as if he had not a care in the world. And again, as they actually walked into the doctor's office, Bilal was grinning like a Cheshire cat. Just look at this bright, sunny smile on his face. Oh Lord, I actually couldn't believe my eyes. Why won't God just wipe the smile off Bilal's face? Do my prayers mean nothing to him? I pray and pray, but to no avail. This whole situation's a bigger mess than Bilal's cutlery drawer. But guys, just before they went in, as they were sitting waiting for the news, Shaeeda looked as if she were about to burst into tears. And she said, I feel really nauseous and really nervous. And Bilal went, nauseous, nervous. Not only doesn't he care, but he can't even be asked to pretend. He didn't at any point try and comfort her. And in fact, he sat as far away in the office as he could from her. There was an empty seat right next to her. Did Bilal sit in it? Of course he didn't. And so when the doctor dropped the bomb that Shaeeda has a very low egg reserve, Bilal asked, is that normal at this age? And the doctor said, well, you have about a 5% chance of getting pregnant from the age of 40, but Shaeeda's chances will be considerably lower than this. And Bilal's face was entirely blank. He didn't look happy, he didn't look sad, but poor Shaeeda's face was crestfallen. And Shaeeda said to production, my fertility is compromised. When I heard what the doctor had to say, I felt as if I'd never have a family. But back in the doctor's office once again, as Shaeeda was asking the doctor how much time she has, Bilal's grinning. Oh my God, guys, I'm feeling violent. I really am. I have every reason to believe if you've watched the storylines of Bilal and Shaeeda for the past 2 years, you may be entitled to compensation. This is too much even for TLC. Guys, like I said last week, even Big Ed, even that bloody zero, informed Rose within 3 weeks of meeting her of his intention never to have any more kids. It comes to something when Big Ed has more integrity than you. Deep it, Bilal's actually got Shaeeda over to America and married her, and he still isn't being honest with the fact that he doesn't want any more children. And guys, no wonder he was dead set on this prenup. He knew he'd more than likely need it. And there are a few people in my comments last week saying, well, Bilal's right, they should get to know each other first. And I cannot begin to tell you how much I disagree with that statement. Bilal should have just been honest before he married her. She certainly was. She said, I want to start trying for a family straight away. He should have been just as honest and said, no, there's no way that I'll do that. In fact, I don't want any more kids. And to be honest, there is no get to know each other first. If they wait until Shaeeda's 40, she'll have less than a 5% chance of getting pregnant each month. So it's either now or very potentially never. And so the doctor said emphatically, if you do want to have a baby, I would not wait more than 6 months. Wait, what was that, Bilal? Oh, that's it. The sound of silence. Just last week when you were in the same office, Bilal, you piped up and said, so what you're saying is we should wait 2 years. Now when you can quite clearly hear the doctor saying, start within 6 months, you're strangely mute. And then the doctor suggests that maybe if they try for 6 months and nothing happens, she might consider freezing her eggs. And the Ebird suggests she can perhaps keep them safe. The frozen eggs, I mean, in the space where Bilal's heart's supposed to be. Unreliably informed, it's fucking freezing. And so we finish the segment with Shaeeda saying if Bilal's not prepared to start trying for a baby straight away, that will be a deal breaker in our relationship. Shaeeda, consider the deal broken. And that's where we end things for this week. So what does the Ebird make to all of this? Well, Bilal, you knew good and well if you said to Shaeeda, I don't want to have kids, she would never have married you. And such is your level of selfishness in wanting Shaeeda that you decided to play fast and loose with her desires for motherhood and try and continue to fudge the issue and trick her until it was too late. And we see at the end of the show, on the teasers for next week, that Bilal's at a family dinner and Shaeeda said, God willing, we'll start trying for a family. And Bilal piped up, we already have a family. And I can't help but think that Bilal is always more, forthcoming with his actual desire not to have any more kids when he has backup, when his mum and sisters are present. Now Bilal's a character who divides opinion. There's Bilal and his mum on one side and the rest of the human race on the other. He's an out-and-out scoundrel, a liar, and a dream killer. He wants to be seen as a good guy. He's always pushing his charitable endeavours on us. But Bilal, don't you know, charity begins at home. You can't convince us you're a good guy if you don't do right by your wife. At least just tell her the truth. No one's saying you've got to go ahead and have a child, but put the woman out of her misery. But as for Shaeeda, well, the writing was certainly on the wall. And although I concede Bilal did say on quite a few occasions, yeah, I do want kids, but in time, there were far more times when he intimated that he didn't want any more kids and said negative things about having kids and tried to close the conversation down. That should have given you a clue. You should have actually said to him, do you want to start trying for kids within the next 6 months or a year? And if he said no, you should have threatened not to marry him. Yes, perhaps it wouldn't have gone ahead, but then you'd at least be free to pursue your dream of becoming a mother with somebody else who held a similar dream. I don't think Bilal loves Shaeeda. He's in love with the idea of Shaeeda. She's good looking. She's an uber cool Muslim, and she has quite a sizable social media following. And I think he treats her as an extension of himself in the way that he'd treat a car or a house or a business. He likes the way she makes him look. He uses his mum and his sister to try and convince her of anything that she's unsure about. And she falls into that age-old trap thinking, well, if everyone says that Bilal's a good guy, he must be a good guy. He's not. He's a bad guy. In fact, he's a terrible guy. He's a worse than Big Ed guy, and that's quite some going. So yeah, that's pretty much my take. And guys, as I promised, I'm going to put together later on this evening all of the times when Bilal has prevaricated about the issue of having kids. And I don't think it's going to make very nice viewing for Shaeeda. But what my subscribers want, they get. So stay tuned for that video later on, or tomorrow. But in the meantime, what do you guys think? We've heard it very clearly now. Bilal still wants to wait to try to have kids, even knowing that Shaeeda hasn't even got enough eggs to make an omelette. But meanwhile, Bilal wants to play keepy-uppies with the few she has left. So guys, let me know what you think about this whole issue, and I'll get on with my next video. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And thank you to everyone who's subscribed thus far. I really do appreciate it. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.